All right, so looking at parts of a circle and finding circumference and diameter or radius from given information, we're going to kind of look at the different parts of a circle. First, you'll notice the circumference. The circumference is the whole outside. It's kind of the line that makes up the circle. So it would be the perimeter of a circle. Okay. Then you've got chords, which are just lines that go from one side of a circle to another. However, these ones do not pass through the center of the circle. Okay, the diameter is just the distance from one side of the circle to the other, where it does pass through the center of the circle, and then the radius is the distance from the center of the circle to the outside of the circle. So diameter and radius are going to be the main focuses. And what you'll notice is the radius is half of the diameter. So a radius is just half of your distance across the circle. So here note that 2r equals d. Okay, and now the circumference, pi, we're going to be using, and that helps us solve for the circumference of the circle. And pi is the ratio of the circle's circumference to its diameter. So for any circle, if you take its circumference and divide by the diameter, you should get pi, or a number that's really close to 3.14. So that is a decimal version of pi that we can use, because pi is a number that continues to add new numbers after the decimal that never repeat. So when we're doing multiplications, you can use a symbol pi, or a lot of the assignments I have, you're going to be just using 3.14 to represent pi. Also 2/7, that would be another number that is going to get you close to that pi value. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we want to find our circumference of a circle given the diameter or the radius. And then also we want to be able to find our diameter or radius from a given circumference of a circle. So to start off, looking over here, we've got to find the circumference of a circle, we rearrange the equation for pi. So right here is our equation for pi. We're going to rearrange that and solve for, in this case, we want to solve for c. So to get rid of dividing by d, we'd multiply both sides by d. And that's what's going on right here. And then we're going to be left with pi times diameter equals our circumference. Okay, so now that we have that, we've got that equation. So now if we are given a diameter, we can find our circumference. So down here, notice we have a circle with a diameter of 6 centimeters. And so if our equation is circumference equals pi times diameter, well, now we know our diameter, which is 6, and we know that pi, we are just going to use 3.14, and when you multiply those together, you get the circumference is 18.84 centimeters. So that's all we're doing. Okay, you're taking the diameter times pi, and that'll give you your circumference. So here's another example. So find except this one here, it says find the diameter of a circle with the circumference of 21.98 inches. So now we're just setting it up backwards. We know our circumference, and we want to solve for our diameter. So now we want to get d by itself. So if you look here, we divide by pi. What we do to one side, we do to the other. So now circumference divided by pi equals our diameter. So once again, we rewrote the pi ratio equation up here so that we can solve for d. Now, we know what circumference is. That's 21.98. We know that pi is 3.1. So when you take 21.98 divide by 3.14, you would get 7 inches. So these are the two steps. One, to find the circumference with a given diameter, and then how to find the diameter from a given circumference. Now I have two more examples down here, but this one we're actually finding the radius. So you're going to set it up just like you're solving for, so in this first one, find the circumference of a circle with a radius of 3 inches. Okay, so you set up as c equals pi times our diameter. But up here, just note that, well, diameter is 2 times our radius. So where we see that d, we're just going to switch that out with 2 pi r, and that's what I did right here. Because 2 times your radius is the same as your diameter. Okay, now that we've switched this up, now we're just filling in the information that we know. So here, circumference equals pi times 2 times 3. 3 is our radius, so 3 just went in for our r. And now pi, we know that pi is 3.14. So 3.14 times 6. 6 comes from 2 times 3. And that would give us our circumference from the radius. And what you'll notice, r is 3, which is half of 6, which over here our diameter was 6. And we get the same answer, 18.84. Okay, so then the last thing, so now same thing, except we're given the circumference and we need to find the radius. So once again, we know that circumference equals 2 pi r. So we want to get r by itself, so we divide both sides by 2 pi. So that's what's going on in this section right here. Okay, that's going to leave us with this equation right here, c divided by 2 pi equals r. So we just rearrange the equation to solve for r. So now that we've done that, we're just plugging the values that were given. So we know c is 37.68, so that's given right here. So that's going to go right up here. Then we're going to divide that by 2 times pi. We know pi is 3.14, so we put that here. Then we're just going to times that by 2. And when you take 37.68 divided by 2 times 3.14, your outcome will be 6. And so that's how we're going to use these equations, and it all kind of starts from this equation right here. Circumference is the ratio, pi is the ratio of our circumference over our diameter. So we rearrange this, one to solve for circumference given our diameter is going to be this equation. If we're given a radius, we're going to use this equation. And then likewise, if we're given the circumference and we want to find the diameter, we're going to use this equation. And then last, we're going to use this equation right here if we're given circumference and we want to find our radius.